recognizes the representative from Mississippi, Mr. Ezell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Administrator Criswell, for being here today. A few months ago, you agreed to consider the flood maps fully funded by the Mississippi State Legislature and implemented by the Southern Mississippi Planning and Development District. I appreciate your commitment, and as so many of my constituents are suffering due to FEMA's outdated, inaccurate flood maps. Last month, I hosted a roundtable on this issue and was pleased to hear that your staff is working in good faith with district stakeholders. I'll give credit where credit's due. However, as we've discussed today, the recent reports of one of your staffers intentionally withholding federal aid solely on political preferences beyond unacceptable and dramatically increases the political divide in our country. Unfortunately, we could keep hammering this point, but today I'm not here I want to focus on something else, some of the things going on in my district. One of my goals as a congressman is to improve the efficiency of FEMA. During my first term, I have engaged with Regional 4 regarding the dozens of projects in my district from the Gulf Coast to the Pine Belt that have drug out far too long without a resolution, or in some cases, even without a clear update. These include projects throughout Biloxi, Gulfport, Long Beach, Pass Christian, Bay St. Louis, Waveland, and Hattiesburg. Here's a timeline of events that my staff and I have discussed with your team at Region 4. Administrator Criswell, this upcoming August will be 20-year anniversary for Hurricane Katrina, 20 years. That's nearly 2 decades. The city of Biloxi is still waiting on some of their infrastructure projects. How, 20 years later, are there still unresolved projects from Katrina?
Congressman, recovery is very complicated, and every project has its own unique situation. I'm happy to look into the specific projects that you are most concerned about.
Thank you for that. You know, as you can see, this is pretty hard to defend. 20 years, you know, 20 years is a long time waiting on to get some infrastructure projects fixed, which have been funded. Another answer I hope you can clarify for me today. If an applicant identifies an error or omission in the original cost estimate, do you believe FEMA may increase funding for an improved project? Yes or no?
Congressman, I would have to understand the specifics of that to be able to answer it accurately.
If an applicant identifies an error or an omission in the original cost estimate, do you believe FEMA may increase funding for an improved project?
Again, Congressman, without understanding the specifics of that project, okay. I don't have an accurate
Let's
answer.
move on. I'll take that as a no. According to FEMA, this project, and this is in Biloxi and Waveland, Biloxi, correction. According to FEMA, this project has not been finished because it was not accurately estimated. But I have in writing a letter from FEMA right here that the most recent CEF in 2019 accurately reflected the complexity of the project. Can you follow up with this letter, and we'll make sure that you get it, that FEMA has already confirmed and direct your staff to fund the project at the cost accurately reflected?
Congressman, I'd be happy to follow up on that specific project.
Thank you very much. I take that as a yes. The second project that I'd like to raise with you today is the Waveland, Mississippi Pier. In October, I learned that the original reason why this project was not funded was because of the scope of the work had changed. However, the city has told me the project has not changed since day one of the disaster. Now I'm hearing the original project reflected what the city says, but your agency claims it should not have. So now we're kind of back to step one. You know, this stuff just gets so confusing, our people just don't know which way to go sometimes. So what's it gonna be? Was the mitigation work never included to begin with, or did FEMA include this work by mistake? Again, confusing. We get one answer from you sometimes, and we try to go along with it, and things just keep changing until it gets so confusing, until nobody really knows what to do. So we got to get this figured out. As we can see how this creates so much uncertainty and confusing the people who are trying to navigate through the process, because Waveland's got issues going on right now. My staff and I have worked tirelessly to try to work some of these things out with FEMA. But still, if you look at 20 years projects from Katrina that have been funded, that have not been completed, and, you know, again, I don't want to keep beating the drum about what one employee said or what may be the policy, but, you know, I truly hope that the lack of funding these projects isn't due to Mississippi being a red state. And with that, Mr. Chairman, with that being said, I need a commitment from you today that you will look into all these projects, that they will be handled, and that my constituents will get the help that they need back home.
Congressman, you have my commitment that we will look into all of those projects, and you have my absolute determination that we do not discriminate against any state. We provide support for everyone impacted by disasters.
And we appreciate that. But, you know, when you're looking at 20 years from Katrina, we should not be having this discussion. So thank you very much.